In this video, I want to talk about picking techniques. That's just my experience really. I find that I've changed my style of picking many times throughout the last 30 years, and I just want to share some tips and tricks, so to speak, more to do with the tone. And if not really a shredder, if this is the style that you're looking into learning, this might not be the right video, but I hope you can still pick some, no pun intended, pick some ideas to change the way you use the pick and right hand in general, both for single lines and strumming. Okay, so let's just get straight into it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe because that really helps the channel. Let's get going.
All right, first of all, I want to explain that there is no one-size-fits-all because it's, different styles require different approaches and different tone. I think the pick and the way you hold it and the way you attack the string changes the sound a lot. And so you want to make sure that you explore things a little bit. I use pretty much, I made a video about different picks and different materials, but really when I play, I pretty much use only 3 picks. This is like, Paul Gilbert, the pointy bit, as much as I play always with the shoulder. But with this one, I think for rock, this really is great. Allows you to move between strings quite quickly, and it's a very precise sound. Smaller pick with a pointy bit. This is the pick that I use most of the times, is a Dunlop .88, a Delrin. It really is, it's a bit like, it's a great material because it doesn't, especially when it's new, it doesn't slip from your fingers. And also I use the shoulder, let's call it the round part of the pick to pick, and I'll explain why in a minute. And then I have like a really thin, I have a few of these, this is just one of them, like a really thin pick that bends really easily, and I'll explain why right now. So when I play in my, let's call it my style, which is a kind of jazz blues style, and I use to me that the fact that I use the shoulder of the pick really fattens up the sound and allows me to slide on the string a lot. It's a lot easier to slide on the strings, so to speak, and I'll explain why that to me is a good thing in the style that I play. If you're more of a shredder, which I am not, I think the pick with a point bit so it allows you to move between strings. It's a lot easier to move between strings, and again, the downside for me, it doesn't have that zing, so to speak, that this has just pure attack. Where the thinner pick allows you to strum and you get a better sound that doesn't have too much buzzing, because obviously you can hit the strings a lot harder. So you want to pick that bends when you hit the strings. Where you don't want to pick that bends if you're playing more like the shredder style, so to speak. You don't want that latency. You want to be able for the pick to just hit the strings and not bend if you're playing individual notes. It comes with the saying that there are different points where you move the pick. The first one is between your thumb and index. Then you have this kind of rotation of your wrist, which is a slightly wider one. Then you can use your forearm with the wrist either rotating or still, so to speak. A lot of like shred players tend to play this way, that kind of way of like metal players. They tend to be more, let's call it stiff, then you can go with a full arm if you want to go like Pete Townsend style if you're standing up. I would say that's more like theatrical. But in general, if you're strumming like a counter player would do, you make a wider motion. If you are playing funk, you make a smaller motion that is more to do with your wrist. And if you are picking individual notes, I would say it's a combination of playing more with your wrist and moving your like very small motions between your thumb and index, so to speak. So the faster you go, the smaller the motion. But remember that, especially if you're strumming, you play rhythm, you want a wide enough motion to create a good sound. As a matter of fact, if I'm playing lines or I have a lot of dynamic, I want that big motion. So I want that, the wider motion, so to speak, and that comes from, to me, it comes from the wrist, okay? So I'll explore a little bit what I do with my right hand. I mean, I tend to, in general, and I changed this throughout many times throughout the last 10, 15 years, because I used to play, I started from classical guitar, so I was finger picking, more guitarist, and I went into play like Martin Knopfler, you know, that kind of style, because I was, you know, when I was young, that's how I started playing, like my Knopfler style. And then I started playing picking because I played jazz, and I started picking with a pointy bit of the plectrum. And then as I got more into, I could never get that kind of really smooth sound like Robin Ford or Mike Landau. And I've started playing, I saw that a lot of those players were playing with the shoulder of the pick, the round bit of the pick. So I started playing with that. It took ages to get to a point where I could play smoothly with the shoulder of the pick. And I find that a lot of the thing that something that really helped, that what people call pick slanting, which is basically holding the pick at an angle. And the way I do it, and I think the reason why that happens is that it covers more, not only it allows you for the pick to slide smoothly on the string, but it covers more space between strings. And again, I will link another video where I explore picking within the strings and outside the strings, inside the set of strings and outside the set of two strings. That to me is really important to explore a little bit how you feel while picking, because it's a lot to do with feel, okay? So the two things that I suggest for you to try are find different directions in which you can angle the pick. Some people prefer the angle going up, like George Benson style, so to speak, and some people like the pick going down. I tend to push it down. So I'm slowing things down a little bit, which is a trick here, because these things are easier to play fast. And I tend to play, when I play fast, I tend to play with a relaxed wrist. And I tend to go in. Basically, I can only explain it by going in and out. It's a bit like if you do that, that's a bit the feel that you would get. And again, I tend to push the pick down a bit with my thumb, because it gets this is a mix of, sometimes I mix hammer on pull off, but it's a bit of an organic thing, so to speak. To me, that's more important than, unless you're, again, a pure shred player where you do 3 notes per strings, where you have to pick either alternate or economy picking. To me, the fact that I improvise a lot is more important than the total accuracy. Again, I will talk about that at the end a little bit, because to me that's quite important. There's a spectrum between accuracy and feel and improvisation, and it's up to you where you stand. So I tend to improvise a lot when I play. So to me, the accuracy is, there's a tolerance obviously to it, but it's not the first thing I think about. Okay. There are certain things that you can work on in terms of like when you cross the string. So working on crossing the strings, so you do 1, 2, 4, 1 on the next string. Some people use pure alternate picking for absolutely everything. Think like Mike Stern, so to speak. It's just when you play a downstroke, you follow it by an upstroke. I find it difficult to do that because as much as I did it for a while, I never found it to be very expressive. It's not smooth enough. As a matter of fact, you will find a lot of modern players that slide between half steps, like Kurt Rosenwinkel. They tend to pick and then slide between half steps. And obviously, the quicker you pick, the more difficult it becomes to do alternate picking, like pure alternate picking. So, especially if you play arpeggio, it can be done, but I find that a lot of the people that play faster, they tend to either alternate with patterns of 6 or do economy picking, which means that I do down, up, down, down. So I use the same picking direction when I change strings. I'm not great at this. I've never really practiced it. I'd say Frank Gambale is probably the person you want to check out. So mix those two things with sweep picking arpeggios. That kind of stuff. So you figure out a way of mixing the two things. And I do that too. And again, it's become more of an organic thing. Okay. Again, to me, the lines that I play rule over the technique that I use with my right hand. Okay. Economy picking probably, as I said, is more efficient in terms of crossing the strings. But in general, I find it works against, is one or the other. Is either you do alternate picking or economy picking. It becomes very difficult to get to a certain level, just mixing things up, so to speak. A lot of people use hybrid picking, and I do that too, quite a bit. I used to do it more. Hybrid picking, I mean, when you cross string, you use maybe your middle finger or a combination of middle and ring finger. So basically, in this case, I'm playing down, up, down, middle finger on the next string. I do that quite a bit, especially combined with hammer on and pull off, okay? I used to do that more, but I have, after years and years, I'm getting older, let's put it that way. I have more like arthritis in my right hand, so it becomes painful sometimes if I'm playing, live, especially where you have to really dig in. So I've learned, and I'm trying to more and more just use the pick so that my fingers, some nights my fingers hurt and I can't really do hybrid picking, or at least until my fingers have really warmed up. So I've learned with aging to just use the pick, basically. Unfortunately, that's one of those things, we are human. I want to say, as I said, I'm not really a shredder, and I'm not really the channel if you want to learn shredding. This is not it. It's not me. But I have learned a few things that, as I was saying earlier, a lot of these kind of faster players, they tend to play with particular patterns, meaning they will play phrases that rule over improvisation, and meaning that you will have certain patterns of repeating 3 notes per strings. They're all very much structured. Let's say if I play scales, I won't play them like this, where I have a mixed amount of notes per string. But I will play them by having always 3 notes per string. This is, let's say, A major. It's so that you have a predictable pattern with your right hand. So I will have down, up, 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 up. And the reason why this happens is, especially a very obvious case is when people play shredded types that tend to play repeating octaves. So we'll have, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And by using these patterns, I can use either alternate picking, but it's predictable. So here we'll have down, up, down, 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 down, up, down. Or economy picking, so we'll have down, up, down, 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 down, up, down. And not super clean, as I said, I'm not a specialist in economy picking. Or you can pick the first note and hammer on the rest, a bit like Eddie Van Halen would do. That kind of style, so to speak. That's a lot easier. I find that I quite like that. If I had to pick, to pick a style in terms of playing fast, I would definitely go for the hammer-on pull-off, the legato style, like Alan Allsworth. I find it a lot smoother. I really like that smooth sound, that smoothness in the playing. So the best way for me to develop all this kind of stuff is to use the metronome. And as much as you will never really replicate the feel that you have when you play at a high volume with a band, with people in front of you, you will at least be able to develop accuracy. And you will develop a sense of urgency that the metronome gives you, because it's something external to you. It's not, sometimes the guitar plays, your limitations play yourself, where with a metronome you have to overcome the limitations, okay? Because it's something external to you that dictates what you have to do, okay? So basically you find a lick or something you want to do. Let's just, again, play the usual one. And play it at 80 BPM. And once you can play that correctly 10 times by being quite mindful about it, go to 85. I find 5 BPM is usually enough to give you that slight sensation of something has changed. 1 BPM is not enough. You have to go to 5 BPM. And then, again, you play the same thing. Slightly faster, you try to get to a target speed and always pushing to a faster speed. That's all it is. But as I said, to me, speed has to be secondary to musicality. That's purely the way I see it. There's some people that have more an approach of like going to the gym, where speed and accuracy is before musicality. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's you make the rules. Okay, this is just music and art. You make your own rules. A lot of that is also muscle memory. So you will be faster with things that you know better. That's all it is. There are certain licks that I play all the time that I'm better at. And when I'm trying to learn something new, I know that I will have to go through that same process of developing muscle memory to play that. So I will have to play slowly, understand it, be mindful about it, and then speed up. That's all. I find the string skipping is the most tricky thing. So again, so try to create some exercises. In this case, I play D spread, and then E minor spread. So again, E, B, and G. And you can try different solutions. You can play purely alternate. Okay. I find sometimes where I go naturally, it's something that is quite used in 3-note groups, which is down, down, up. Because you can play the notes that are close to each other with a downstroke and then turn the picking with an upstroke. That's what using 3-note grouping kind of picking. Or you can do hybrid picking, so down, down, middle. You see how much the sound changes. Okay, a lot of country players tend to do that, okay? Hybrid picking. Another thing that I can say is always warm up and always record yourself. Experiment, but record yourself, because without an external source of hearing what you're really doing, it's very difficult to to judge what you're doing. So always record yourself. In terms of, let me change pick, and in terms of, I want to give a bit of suggestion in terms of strumming. Strumming. To me, strumming and pick individual notes are two different things. And if you want that really nice recorded strum sound, that really consistent sound where you can hear all the strings and it's not grating, it's not this, which is what usually beginners do when they pick up the guitar for the first time. That's not the sound that you want when you strum, especially if you're recording pop music. The guidelines for me are the fact that sound comes from the momentum that you use to hit the string. So you need a wider motion. And as a whipping motion, it's like it's the same thing as if you were to remove some dust from your trousers. Okay, that's how we explain it. Or like a slapping kind of motion, like that. And even when I play slowly, if I play slowly and if you play fast, the motion is the same. It's not an even motion up and down. It's not this. It's this. That's what gets you that sound, okay? Especially if you play stuff that is funkier, You want that whipping motion, and it all comes from that half moon motion with a relaxed wrist. That's where that comes from. Some of it is how tightly you hold the pick. You want to have that pick really relaxed, okay? If you wanted that kind of more skunk rhythm, Shaka Khan style, so to speak. And I think you really achieve it that way. You want some compression maybe in the sound, but you can really get to the point where you can do it organically without any compression, without anything. Because again, as I said, it's more to do with the momentum when you strum. And same thing to get that really nice country folk, like Roy Orbison style. You don't need compression for that. It's a feel thing. It's to get the speed hitting the strings very quickly. That momentum is what creates that sound, and is really developing that brushing, whipping motion. Think it's a visual thing. It's like imagining, visualizing, brushing with a quick whipping motion. That's the way that I can explain it. Okay. There's a video where I explain some like funk techniques, and I will link it to the video as well.
Also wanted to add that at the end of this video that there's been obviously quite a bit of controversy about a particular player. I don't want to get involved in that, to do with Instagram. And but the important thing that comes from that, and it's been, it's something that has been talked about quite a bit, is the level of accuracy that is expected nowadays, and it's become almost like impossible to achieve without editing. I'll just put it that way. Obviously when you record, it's a known fact that you will be playing certain things many times until you get that perfect take. It's always been the case until multi-tracking and recording in general has been invented. And you want to get the perfect take, but then we got to a point where the editing nowadays has become like almost absurd. And to me, as much as is improving the negatives, if you play something that is slightly not correct, you can tweak it, which is amazing. But at the same time, now everybody does it by default, and it's basically removed that human feel that, to me, this is purely my personal taste, it's needed to make things a bit more, let's call it emotional, to connect, and that editing, that perfectionism, has removed, has improved the negatives, but it was also flattened out the positives, and it's kind of turned everything into the same. I don't know. I still like to hear things where I can hear the imperfections, but at the same time, there's a magical moment where things are really unique, so to speak. Okay, so be aware that some of the stuff that you listen to on like recordings and online are edited to no end, and basically the person is just miming to a very very edited version of their playing. And some, I feel a bit bad for some younger players that don't maybe know that, even though it's pretty obvious, nowadays, that are kind of aiming for something that is not really achievable, and it doesn't really translate to a live performance. When you go and looking for a live performance of the same player, if they even play live, it's just not. It's not the same. Okay. Yeah, just be realistic with the goals that you want to achieve, and nothing wrong with pushing yourself to be cleaner if that's what you want to achieve. Nothing wrong to be more precise, faster. There's nothing wrong with that, but be realistic, especially when you start. When you're starting out, okay, don't get frustrated. Just like trust the process, so to speak. Oh well, I hope this really helped, and in any way. And don't forget to check out all the links in the description. There are some modular patches. If you want to make a donation, that's great. There's a PayPal link there. And in general, if you want to just share the video in any way, shape, or form, that's amazing. It really helps the channel to grow and to maybe reach somebody that might need these kind of tips. All right, thank you so much. Bye-bye.